Good day, grade 8. So, how are you today? This morning would be our fifth pre-recorded lesson. So, are you ready? And today we will be discussing African literature. Let us discover how Africans lived through the narrative poem that we are going to discuss this morning. Our poem for today is written by Anne Griffel-Cody, The Village of Round and Square Houses. So, while it was considered as an African folk tale, the story is actually inspired by an event that transpired many years ago. It is a long poem written in a rhythmical free verse. So let's find out what is this event by analyzing the poem. Let's meet the author, Anne Griffel-Cody. So she is a writer and illustrator of several books of children. So Anne Griffel-Cody, who draw on the different cultures to write and illustrate dozens of well-regarded children's book, and notably the award-winning The Village of Round and Square Houses. The Village of Round and Square Houses is a story about how the village of Dos, located in Cameroon in the west of Africa, men come to live in a square houses and women in a round ones. So this story is narrated by a young girl who lived in this village, all right? So again, the houses of African village are of two shapes, the round and the square. And the square houses shelter the men of the village, and the round houses shelter the women and children. So as the story unfolds, the routines of the villagers, including the work, the play, the mealtime, and bedtime routines are explored. So it is Asa, the narrator of the story. She is a young girl in the village. So Asa tells a life in her village in Cameroon. She talks about their custom of honoring the elders by giving them special places to sit and allowing them to eat first. So are you doing it also in your house? So it is a way of respecting elders. So we Filipinos are also doing this, okay? So her grandmother tells her the story of the day that the volcano erupted, okay? So we're going to find out what happened that day. So after the volcanic eruption, the village is burned out. People are covered with ashes and they can't recognize each other. So thus, the village chief decided to assign them houses based on their shapes. So can you imagine that? They cannot recognize each other and they are assigned to have houses depending on their shapes. So women are assigned to live in round houses because they are round, and men are assigned to live in square houses because they are tall. So from that point on, men and women have a time to be together and a place to be apart. And children are all considered small and they are not assigned to any houses, so they live together with women. So these are stereotypes that still exist until now, where females, males, and children are given distinct shapes. Okay? The story of the village of round and square houses is unique and very different from other stories that are usually found in books, because in the beginning the story seems to be invented, imaginary, not true. This is due to the fact that this type of village, the round and square houses, is not seen in real life. So have you seen a village with square and round houses? We don't have that in the Philippines, okay? So later on, the reality of the story reveals itself by the mention of old Naka and spirit of ancestors, which are some elements found in mythic history of Africa. So again, it was mentioned old Naka and spirit ancestors. So the story is based on a true story. Okay, so that is old Naka and ancestors, which is an element of mythic history of Africa. Also, author and illustrator Anne Griffalconi includes a note on the opening page of this book stating that this is a true story. It is based on the village of Tos in Cameroon. So the author fully explains not only the story behind the custom, but the way the tribe embraces it and sees its advantages in this setup. Okay? So certainly the idea of having men and women live in a different houses seems very strange, but African tribes are able to adapt it. Okay? So that's the end of the story, The Village of Square and Round Houses. So did you like the story? And what have you learned from the story? So prepare your answers for our live discussion tomorrow. All right. So we are done discussing our first part lesson. Now let's go to our second part. Okay? Now let's have idiomatic expressions. So are you familiar with idioms? So what do idioms mean? So idioms, it is an expression or a figure of speech whose meaning cannot be taken literally. So it can be a word, a phrase, or a sentence. All right. If idiomatic expression or idioms are literal, it will look like this. So see the pictures below. It's raining cats and dogs. So can you imagine that? Raining cats and dogs. But what does it really mean? So it's raining cats and dogs means that it is raining hard. So a strong wind with rain. So cats and dogs. It is not the cat or the dog. Okay? So that is idiomatic expression. So here are another examples. First, we have old school. So when you say old school, it has or it means something close to old fashioned. So that is old school. And here at the picture, the old school does not mean that the school is old or a school that has a cane and a beard, right? Just like what you see in the picture below. Okay? So another example is sugar daddy. So here, sugar has no daddy. Okay? So if we take it literally, it will look like this. But since it is idioms, it has its own meaning. Okay? So sugar daddy, it means that it is a rich older man who gives money or gift to a young woman or rather a woman in return for her company or love. So that is sugar daddy. All right? Okay. So there you go. If idioms are literal, let your mind wander. Okay? So again, you have to understand idiomatic expression and never take it literally. All right. So here are some examples of idioms and its meanings. First, it cost me an arm and a leg. So meaning, it cost me a lot of money. It is very expensive. Okay. Next, she thinks she is all that and a bag of chips. So she thinks very highly of herself. She thinks she is that very special or superior than other. Okay. So next, she forgot, so I jogged her memory. So when you say I jogged her memory, it means I reminded her. So that is, she forgot, and rather, she forgot, so I reminded her. Next, you read as smooth as hot honey. Okay, so you read very fluently. So that is idioms. Alright, so let's have number idioms. First, never in a million years. So it means absolutely never. Okay, so it is used as a strong way of saying that something is extremely unlikely or impossible to happen. Okay, like for example, never in a million years did I think that she would quit her job. So that is never. Okay. Next we have be on cloud nine. So it means very happy because something wonderful has happened. Okay. So next we have dressed up to the nines. So when you say dressed up to the nines, so it means that very well dressed and fashionable. Okay, so typically a formal or rather for formal event. So like for example, I have to dress to the nines at this event or at this gala tonight. Okay, so again, dressed up to the nines, it means someone is wearing very smart or a glamorous clothes. Okay, next, be in seventh heaven. So that is extremely happy. And at sixes and sevens, so it is very common. It means that someone is in state of confusion or not very organized. Okay, so that is number idioms. So this is all for today, grade 8. So again, this is teacher Mitch, your English teacher. Bye everyone. Have a nice day.